You are now tuned in to Two Studs in a Pod with the dynamic duo of Blaze and Meech, a podcast giving you a candid glimpse into the world of super terrific Uber dykes, but you can call us studs. This week, we're throwing it back to the days when having a crush meant more than just a Little Kim song or a tasty orange soda, and we're talking about our first girl crushes. So without further ado, let's get into it. Meech, drop the beat. Welcome back to Two Studs in a Pod peeps. You already know it's Blaze.
And the homie Meech.
This week, we're keeping it light as we continue to strive forward through the COVID-19 outbreak here in the US and around the world, and we're reminiscing about some of our past and more memorable crushes. But before we start down memory lane, Meech, fill us in on what's new and exciting with you.
Nothing much. I've been trying to stay in as much as possible, flatten the curve, keep everybody safe as much as I can. Like I said, I've been back at work for this second week in a row, which is kind of tough. People still are not respecting the 6-foot rule. I had to kind of get loud with some people, like I need my 6 feet. But that's about it. Doing my usual, catching up on things and trying to make sure that Mom Dukes is good, doing some shopping for her, and that's about it. What's been going on with you?
Well, basically, quarantine has really put a lockdown on a lot of activities, but and now that we're under the state mandated, state in order, trying not to, you know, not get pulled over or anything, and I'm trying to do my part, like you said, to flatten the curve, which I have been kind of all along. So I've just been hanging out at the crib, trying to do some yard work, but it's been really, really hot. Like today's been the first day that it actually rained in a long time. I don't even think it rained one day in March, to be honest with you.
Damn.
So maybe that's a good sign. You know what I'm saying? Now that we get a little rain in April, but just basically just working on me and trying to keep up with work. Work is crazy. My schedule is changing. They had to send everybody home remote. So since that's the case and to keep everybody working, we have like this rotating schedule thing that's going on. So, I've been like a regular 9 to 5 type person for the longest
Right.
time. And so now I'm going back to like my old call center schedules.
Oh,
So,
Lord.
yeah, and I was a lot younger when when I was working that time. So I'm hoping and praying that I'm not knocked out asleep with my face head down on the keyboard while I'm supposed to be working or whatever. And so
Drooling on the keys.
yeah. So but I'm glad it rained today and not yesterday, because yesterday I was we hit the grill a little bit. It was warm outside, so we hit the grill and we're playing outside with the dog and just trying to make the best of it, enjoy it as much as we can. I went to the store. I went to the Dollar General that's by our house, just because I needed to get one thing to cook, and it was like I felt like I was going into war or something, because they recommend now that we wear the masks and stuff. So everybody in there with masks and gloves and just crazy. And then you're like, you don't want to get too close to people, but some people aren't respecting the 6 feet. So yeah, quarantine things that's happening around. Well, all right, now that we're filled in on those quarantine things, let's get into it. And after celebrating our 10th episode, we thought it would be a good time to mix it up a little bit and introduce a new segment we'd like to call Green Peas. In this segment, we'll be sharing new trends, podcasts, books, shows, and whatever other new and amusing things we found to keep us entertained. Since you are the official bookworm of the podcast, is there anything new on your list of reads or wish to reads lately?
Yeah, of course. I'm reading Bad Feminist. It's a book about, I guess, a modern day feminist. It's more of a series of essays and different experiences that the writer has had where she may or may not have really utilized her feminist abilities. It's pretty decent. I recently finished Heavy, which is a book by a black author. His name is Kais or something. Can't really remember. My memory sucks. But it was a good book. It felt like it's just about a typical African American dude that grew up in the South and was heavy set
Mm.
and was like, instead of really being his mother's son, he felt more like he was like her partner because he would do everything with her. But she was also like a professor. So she always made sure that he spoke well and was well written and stuff. So it felt kind of like it was a autobiography, but I think it was just like a story, and he kind of used experiences from his life. That was pretty good. I'm also catching up or rereading, I guess, the Harry Potter books.
Oh wow, really?
Trying to
How
introduce the
many
kids to them.
is in that series?
I believe there's seven books.
Okay. I've only ever watched
Yeah.
the movies. I never saw them. I
Oh,
never read the books.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, the books are so much better, so much more detailed.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean that's always the case,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
but yeah.
I'm remembering things because I rewatch the movies whenever they're on, and I had the kids watching them with me. So now I'm trying to get them into reading. So in order to create conversation, I have to reread the books too. But that's on my list, and then Atomic Habits is in the queue. So once I finish these books, Atomic Habits will be up next. But
What's
what you
that
been up?
based? What kind of book is that? Atomic Habits.
It's kind of like a self help book. I'm
Okay.
always reading stuff like that. Just
Yeah.
about creating better habits and what habits you have that could actually just be like bringing you
Hindering
down,
you.
and you don't,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hindering
and
your
you don't even
success.
realize it
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that should be a
Well,
quick read.
well, you know me. I'm a Netflix fool. I don't know what it is. Like I used to be a big reader, and I do like to read, but I have my moments where like I'm in read mode, and I'll read like 3 or 4 books at one time, and then I'll chill on the reading. And maybe it was because of school, that kind of like I had to do a lot of reading, a lot of reading for
Yeah.
I had to. So now that I have the choice, sometimes I just need to veg out, and Netflix is good for that. Um, Most recent watch um, is Uncorked on Netflix. Uncorked. It was about this guy who his family owns a barbecue business in Memphis, and his dream is to be a sommelier. They're black, it's like a black family. He's a black guy, and like being a
Hmm.
sommelier is not really, you know, a black thing, quote unquote. So
Yeah.
that he had that struggle, and it's the story about him and his journey to becoming a sommelier. So it was pretty interesting. I mean, I spent some time in Napa Valley, so we did the little wine thing. We more so got drunk than we really tasting the wine for any kind of real quality. But um, you know, uh, it was a good movie, and it was very nicely done, especially for being Netflix. And I finished my 000. Uh, uh, it's new on Netflix as well. I mean, not Netflix. That's on Amazon Prime, and it's a series on Amazon Prime, and it was pretty good. If you're
Okay.
into like gangster, drug cartel
Oh
type
yeah, sounds like
thing,
my kind of show.
yeah, yeah, it's like that, and it takes place in Italy, Mexico, and New Orleans, and so it's a very interesting story, and especially like I said, if you like that like Sopranos type stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
New trends, interesting trend that I noticed while I was on the Twitter is is that there is an overwhelmingly number of gay people that enjoy scary tales and scary like ghost stories and scary movies, and
Really?
yeah,
Isn't life scary enough for
that's
us?
how I mean that's how I felt. So when I saw that there was just so many people that had interest in that, that was a little shocking for me, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't think that would be big. Like you said, life is already scary enough. Like, is that like some kind of news to you, or
It is news to me. I had no idea.
yeah.
I stay away from scary stuff most of the time.
Yeah, that's definitely not my not
Not
my
my
cup of tea.
genre.
Yeah. Yeah, trust me. That is not my choice. I mean, like I'll watch those ghost shows. Have you ever seen any of the ghost shows on TV?
Yeah, I used to watch them a while ago in like Scare Tactics and Ghost Hunters or whatever it was. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, in the daytime though.
In the daytime. Yeah. My mom is a fan of those. So whenever I go see her, then they're usually watching those in her house, or they have them like ready to queue up and go on
Mhm.
demand if you even mention it. And so yeah, but I'm good on that. Like I don't know, it's not entertaining to me. Just
Yeah.
those shows, like they're just not really that entertaining to me. Because the whole time I don't know. I guess I'm skeptical about everything. I'm like, is that real or
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah. Well, all right. That does it for green peas this week. Now for a segment named Stewed Peas, where we chop it up about our topic of the week. And this week we're mixing it up about our first crushes. Meech, I know you've got a story to tell.
Oh yeah. I was thinking back, I think my very first crush was a celebrity crush. And there was this movie called Crush Groove, coincidentally. And it was like a hip hop movie, and there was a female character, female lead. And she was like so dope. And I was young, like I was really young when this movie came out. And I was like infatuated with her. It was Sheila E. So for all you youngins that haven't seen Crush Groove, you need to go see it. But I just was so infatuated with her, and I just was like, I think that was my first crush, and I didn't realize it. And then my first crush, when I realized, like, oh, I like women for real, for real. I think I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school, and she was a junior. She was one of my sister's classmates, and she was like the head cheerleader. She was dating like a star football player. Of course, I would like, the girl whose dude would like beat me into the ground if I tried anything. Um, and she was like mad popular, but I just thought she was gorgeous. Like I remember she used to have like her picture up because in my high school, like athletes and stuff would have their pictures up on the wall of fame. And she was like the star in the play that year. And I'm a freshman. I'm just walking around seeing her picture all over the place. I'll never forget her, bro. Like, and I'll never forget her. She was gorgeous to me. She had a body, everything. And I was just like all the parties that my sister would go to, I would try to tag along just so I could be there with these upperclassmen so I could see her. My heart was crushed like every time I would see her dude come around. I'm like, damn.
And this was, wait,
But
how old? How old again?
a freshman in high school, so I
Oh,
was like
freshman in high school.
13, 12, 13, I think.
And this is your first girl crush?
Yeah, that I remember.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, like when I was like, oh shit, I might really be gay.
A big old dyke.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A super
I mean, I'm
terrific
sure
uber dyke.
I had crushes on girls like before, like
Mm.
but the one that I remember that I was like, damn, I want to do some things to this girl was that one. I mean, I used to have crushes like on celebrities. I
Right.
think the one that I remember in real life was her. Like celebrities, yeah, like Nia Long, Nia Long. Um, Best Man used to be one of my favorite movies. Uh, it's a lot. It's a lot of them. Even I had crushes on like Disney characters, like Princess Jasmine, Ariel.
Huh.
So I've been gay
Well,
for a long
I
time.
mean, yeah, definitely Disney Jasmine. Like you couldn't tell me I wasn't Aladdin when we were when we were growing up, right? Like that's probably one of my all time favorite Disney cartoons ever. I love that movie. I know every song in that in that
Yeah.
movie. Like I was, and that's how I knew. I should have known. Like from that moment, if I think I would have known what gay was watching
Hmm.
Aladdin, then I would have known I was gay because there was no way I wanted to be Jasmine at all.
Right.
I wanted to be Aladdin.
Walking around with my pants with a rubber band on the bottom of them,
Yo,
trying to make them
wishing I had
tight.
a monkey and shit. Like, what? Yes. Okay. I definitely was trying to be Aladdin, not Jasmine. I'm trying to show her the world.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. But my first crush, I'd have to say that it was this girl when I was in elementary school. Like if I really think about it and I think about dealing with girls throughout my whole life, It was this girl in elementary school, and I don't remember her name. Oh yeah, Heather was her name. And man, I mean, I've never seen this girl after elementary school, so I don't think
Oh
there's
man.
a worry about bumping into each other, but or anybody knowing who the hell I'm talking about. But yeah, she was just, I don't know, it was just something about her that like we would play school or play house, and I was always the daddy.
Oh yeah.
And she was the mommy, and I always wanted to be the daddy because she was the mommy. So
Oh yeah.
yes, yeah. So that that was that. Uh, as far as my first crush, and we would like hang out and just like be around school, but not even like so much together all the time. Like we weren't friends like that. But
Hmm.
yeah, definitely when she came around, it was some strange feelings, and I was like, why? I don't know what this means. I don't know what this means, but
Right, just being so young, you don't know uh
right.
what it is, right? Now that you mentioned elementary school, I think back in like first grade. I had a girl that like was I mean, I guess it was a crush, but like we were really close, and she told me on the playground some boy looked up her dress or her skirt or whatever she had on, and I went and I beat the boy up for her because I was
Oh
so
Lord.
upset. Like, you can't be looking up my friend's dress. Like,
Stud security.
yeah.
Baby stud security.
Yo, and I was taking karate because I started karate at like 4 years old, so I just knew
Mm,
I had to go chop him up real quick. Yeah.
man. I mean, I had crushes in high school. Like, there's this one girl. I don't remember her name, but definitely had. I definitely feel like I had a little crush, a little crush on her for sure. But then I also had crush on like older women that I knew, and
Mm.
people I definitely shouldn't have been crushing on. But I mean, um, it was what it was. I mean, yeah, at that time, my celebrity crush and like the biggest celebrity crush ever is was Janet Jackson. Still Janet Jackson. Like Janet, I don't know, man. Like especially after that Velvet Rope came out, and
Yeah.
that just was like, yeah,
Yeah. Janet has always been on the top of the list right
yes.
there, man.
Okay, Miss Jackson, if you nasty. Like I
Okay.
remember betting my homeboy. I already had a copy of the Velvet Rope, and he was trying to get rid. He didn't want his, and I was like, what? So I'm gonna have two copies of this album and play it till it can't. There's like a song where she's like, "And I love you, girl," and I played that. I think I wore that spot out on the CD. Right? I'm like CD. Anybody younger than I don't know how old you think would be like, "What the fuck is a CD?"
Right.
But walking home with my Walkman and playing that
Right.
CD over and over again in that one spot. I'm like, does she say girl? Does she say girl? I think she says girl. And that
Yo, any like celebrity that I thought was like interested in women, I was like, oh yeah,
an
like
instant fan of them, right?
instant,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. It's still kind of
Especially,
like that these days.
yeah,
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie. Oh
Mm.
man,
I
when
don't
I
know.
seen her in I think it was Gia, I was like, oh yeah,
She about that life.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely um was a crush. I had a crush on this one chick. And then, like now and then not now, but growing up as an adult, now I'm older and I'm working. And then you
Hmm.
develop crushes on like your coworkers
Oh
sometimes.
yeah.
And
I had a
that's
whole work wifey.
yeah, but not even like yeah. And the
Yeah.
weirdest thing is like sometimes like I would have crushes on these women, and I would never do anything because I'm like it's not even like I'm a dude trying to talk to you. Like
Right.
I don't know about your personal life. I don't know your feelings. Like we're cool, but still. And somehow some way I would end up becoming friends with these women. It was like I put out some kind of vibe that we should be close, but we can't
Yeah.
be as close. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you
Yeah.
know, we're like cool, and everybody's thinking that we're fucking because we're so
Yeah.
cool, but we never cross that line. So many of
Hmm.
them. And the crazy part is sometimes when you get to know your crush, like they're no longer your crush.
Yeah,
Once
that
you see the
personality.
yes, or just how they allow themselves to like live and be treated, and you're like, what? Nah.
Yeah. No, I had a crush on at one job I had a crush on this chick, and she had the same name as my girl at the time. And but she was like, I mean, my girl was bad, but this girl, she was like equally as bad. And then I found out later on that she had a crush on me, but she was married, and I was like, I this is just messy.
Mm,
Like, you could just still be my work wifey. It's all right. But
nah.
that was wild.
It's that now. Speaking of crushes, now they go both ways because there would be times when women that I worked with, especially working with, that would be like telling me how they had the biggest crush on me and shit like that. And I'm like, of course, because I'm the little stud in the office.
Yeah.
And and I mean, at first you don't know that, so you're just like, what? I remember one time, like we were out doing a happy hour, and this one chick, like she literally sat right next to me, like across a little walkway from me, and we both were in our little cubicles. And
Hmm.
so I would see her every day. And then one day she was drunk in the club for this happy hour that we had, and she was like, I just gotta tell you that I have the biggest crush on you. And every time you wear that pink polo, I just and she did like a moisture thing with her hands. And I was like, oh. I'm like, oh, thank you so much
Yeah.
for letting me know. Like, interesting. But
Yeah.
yeah, shit like that. Like when they reveal these crushes and shit, these long
Yeah.
crushes. I've always had a crush on you and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, be
I
straight with
remember
it.
I had I had a grown up crush, like when I was grown, I had a crush on this older lady, and she like had her shit together. I had never really met any lesbians at this time who had their shit together. So I found that attractive, and she was cute. So I was at a party at her house, and like I tried to exchange numbers with her, and then like I tried to holler, and she just never responded, and I was hurt. I was like, damn, feelings was hurt. My little crush, love, whatever it was, went away real fast because I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to getting rejected, or at least nobody just ghosting me like that. And next time I seen her out, I just ignored her. I was like, nah,
Mm.
fuck you.
I remember I had the biggest crush on this girl, and she had no time for me, boy. She was just like, she always was giving me the cold shoulder to brush off,
Damn.
like no love for a youngin, because she was older than me. She was so much older, not so much, but she was older than me,
Yeah.
and she was not with it at all. She was like, "Nah, you too young. I couldn't get in the club." Like,
Oh.
yes, exactly. I'm like, really,
Damn.
man?
I was old enough to get in the club. I just didn't have like, my shit together yet. I
Hmm.
was trying to find a job and whatnot, and she already had a career. So she was like a fire chief or something like that.
Goddamn. Yeah,
Yeah, she was like she had to be at least 20 years my senior. So I guess she was looking for somebody
a little
her
more
age
mature.
group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was trying to be her sugar baby. Damn.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Goals.
Okay.
I remember when I was young, like super young, like still high school. I had a crush on this lady. She was like so much older than me, and I don't even know why I had a crush on her because in the long run, she's really not my type. But it was
Hmm.
like when you're young and you don't know any other gay people, so all the gay people you know, that's like your whole. That's all you
Yeah.
know. You know what I'm
That's your
saying? So
network right there.
yeah, I mean, if that makes sense to me, like that's as big as your world is in that
Right.
moment. So she was like a gay person that I know, and I felt like she was cool. She had like a good vibe about her. And the thing is, like I saw her like that, but she saw me as like a little brother, like a little sidekick.
Yeah.
So man, when I tell you when she found somebody and got a girlfriend, and I was crushed. Okay, I was like,
Oh
no,
man.
yes, this can't be. This can't be. Why is this happening to me?
Yeah, man. And I remember in high school, these new girls came to school, and like everybody was trying to holler at them. They came from like the hood, like a couple neighborhoods over, which was the hood. and they were both like everybody was trying to talk to them, and then like we had a basketball game, and they showed up to the basketball game with like their stud girlfriends, and I was like, damn. Like I didn't even know y'all were in the life, but I was definitely crushing on them. Like, damn, I would have definitely hollered. And then like a couple weeks later, my best friend took me to one of their houses, and the chick was like getting dressed and like all this shit, and she didn't care that we were in the room with her and whatnot. And I'm like, am I not supposed to look because I like it? You know what I mean? Like I felt mad uncomfortable, but at the same time, I was like, damn, she likes studs, so what's up? But
I
nothing
know.
ever happened from that because it became too much.
Oh,
I don't like drama and attention and all that, so I just let it go.
yo, you said that there was this chick that I worked with, this lady, this woman. Oh my god, yo, she was bad. Like she was bad, and I had such a crush on her. Everybody in the whole call center had a crush on this woman. Like she was just bad, and she could sell. Like she was just a hustler, and it was just sexy as hell. And for some reason, at some point in time, she decided that her and I were going to be best friends.
Oh man.
And you know me, I'm not one to, discourage friendships. So I was with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I get to hang out with you. Like it was to the point where I had such a crush on her, and she was like always. She would always come pick me up from my house. And
Mm.
she had this like tight ass. This is when the Mitsubishi Eclipse was like a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
everybody wanted one of those joints,
yeah.
and she had one. And it was hooked up, and man, and she was bad, bro. And you talking about somebody getting undressed in front of you, and you like, should I look at her or not? That's what made me think about it, because not only did I have a crush on her, but she always wanted to hang out with me. We would go out all times of day and night and party and drink and smoke and not necessarily go get fucked up. Like we wouldn't go to the club. We would go to
Mhm.
like Little Johnny's liquor store, get a couple little bottles,
Mhm.
and then go somewhere and like drink the bottles. Like maybe her house, maybe her homeboy was having like a little house party, maybe
Uh-huh.
her cousin's house, like shit like that, like weird shit. And I'm just like, still to this day, I don't understand why she chose me, but she would walk by me like on payday and hand me money, and I'm like, you my
What?
pimp? Like, yes. Like, I'm like, she handed me this money. She's like, here you go. Yo. And I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't understand. But one day we were at her crib and like she got undressed in front of me. And I was like, what is supposed to happen right now? Because
Right.
with all that time that we've been hanging out, she never like gave me any kind of vibe that like she
Right.
wanted to, you know what I'm saying? Like it was
Right.
never like that. It was more like we were just hanging out. You know, I felt like maybe I was a safe friend because I wasn't going to try to
Yeah.
do
I've had
anything with
that.
her. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then here you are, like getting naked, and I'm like, well, not naked. She just got down to like her bra and panties.
Right. But I made
But
that mistake one time. Thinking that, a girl had a crush. Well, I didn't know she had a crush on me. I thought we were just chilling, hanging out. Like same shit. We would go out for drinks and whatever. I've been to her house. She would come to my house, and we would just vibe. And then one day, like she got undressed in front of me, and I didn't make a move because I didn't think we were those kinds of friends. Like I thought I was just the safe friend, like you said. And then I found out like a couple weeks later, like she was upset, like she wanted me to do something, and I was like, oh well, you want to try again? But you know what I mean? Like I didn't know. Like I feel like I miss signs sometimes, but I don't know.
yeah, that was definitely a time I feel like now I think back on it and I'm like, was that my sign right there? And then I just didn't do anything. So then I lost you know what I'm saying? Like I lost my
Yeah.
moment, or I don't know. But interesting things, crushes, because they like, and it feels so real when you know it's not really even probably anything in the long
Right. You're
run.
like, did I make this up in my head?
Yes,
Or
yes,
is this yeah.
yeah. And that's what's scary about them too. That sound means it's time for the segment we like to call Too Many Peas in the Pod. This is the part of the show where we like to answer a few of the questions we've received and share with y'all some of the comments and reviews we've gotten from our listeners. This week, we've got a question from Carrie in Long Island. Her question is, in a world that forces us to define ourselves, do you feel the need to? Meech?
Um, I don't necessarily feel the need to, but I do. I do define myself, and I think it just kind of makes it easier all around. Um, like I said, I'm a stud, and it's a box that I feel like I actually fit in from the definition of what a stud is and from how I define myself. I don't think you need to if it's like stressing you out, or like if you just want to be you, then be you. Like I don't walk around, stating I'm a stud everywhere. Um, I don't, like I said before, I don't walk around with the sign telling people to address me as this or as that. I'm just me. I'm just walking around doing me, and I just so happen to fit in the box that is stud. Um, yeah. What about you, B?
Well, I feel much like you do. I know that we are forced to define ourselves, and I hate being defined by a certain label or term. But then again, I do, um, like I said, when I hear the word stud versus any other term or label that's used to describe masculine presented women, I do feel more of a tie to that word. So, and I feel like it's easier to know how to present myself, or it's just easier to present myself with that kind of a definition up front, letting you know who and what I am. Even though people still often get it wrong, and they still don't separate the different terms, like especially in the heterosexual world. We're just a bunch of lesbians and a bunch of gays. When within our own culture, and then even subcultures, when you break it down racially, we have defined ourselves differently. And even no labels are technically a label. So, well, like I said, while I don't like labels, I do feel that, and sometimes they are necessary and
Yeah.
we need to define.
Yeah. I just think, I mean, if you're facing like a lot of discrimination or a lot of confusion, I think that's where defining yourself helps. I've heard a lot of people just talk about, oh, the alphabet people, and I take that a little offensive, because at the end of the day, we're just people. But I don't want to be addressed as a sir, even though I do wear masculine presenting clothes. So like I think it helps in that sense. And then if somebody doesn't know what a stud is or what an AG is, you can kind of explain it to them. So I think it might help in that sense, but I don't know.
Thanks for the question, Carrie. We love it when we get to hear from our listeners. Also, don't miss our recent review on the Regurator podcast featuring Nick. You can find the Regurator podcast on Twitter at Regulators. That's REGURATERS. We're also happy to announce that we've joined the Pod All the Time Podcast Network family. Special shouts out to Pod All the Time PN, I Think We're Doing It podcast, Raw Sex podcast, Round and Round the podcast, Real aka The Truth podcast, Random Unnamed podcast, Another Digital Citizen, Suburban Folk, History of Haunting, 3Ps Up in a podcast, The Creative Intuitive, and The Scarlet TCP. You can find all of their information by going to Pod All the Time PN. That's PODALLTHETIMEPN. Pod All the Time. And on that note, we're going to end the show here. If quarantine has you craving a little more stud in your life, you can find us on IG and Twitter at 2studsinapod. Please feel free to send us your questions and comments by sliding in our DM or shooting us an email at 2studsinapod@gmail.com. That's TWO studsinapod@gmail.com. Heads up that your question or comment could be shared on an upcoming episode. Two Studs in a Pod is available on multiple major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and Radio Public. Gratitude is always the attitude, so we want to say thank you for lending us your ear.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.